I'm Steve with the field engineering team here at Wallaroo AI, and today we're going to take a look at how we can use the Wallaroo platform to deploy ML models on the edge. To begin, we do our imports and use the Wallaroo SDK to authenticate with our cluster and select a workspace for this project. The next thing we have to do is upload our model to the Wallaroo cluster. We can do this with the upload model command, and as you can see here, we're using an Onyx version of the ResNet 50 model. Next, I can specify the hardware configuration for my deployment, including things like the number of CPUs and GPUs and amount of memory available. This will represent the default hardware configuration, but I can also overwrite this on the edge. Now I have my model uploaded and I have a deployment configuration that is representative of the kind of hardware I'm going to expect to have in my edge environment. I can go ahead and test out these things together by deploying this on the Wallaroo cluster with that same deployment configuration to simulate my edge environment. Now that I've called the deploy function, my pipeline is officially up and running in production and fully deployed on my Wallaroo cluster, which means I have an endpoint that I can use to make inferences. Now we can test this out by calling infer on a sample image that we have. We can see that this image is saved as an Apache Arrow file, which is a binary format that makes file transfer very efficient. After we run inference, we can see that our model returned the expected results, which means that our model is performing as expected with the simulated edge conditions. This means that we're ready to publish to our actual edge environment. In Wallaroo, making the leap from a model deployed on a cluster to a model packaged and ready for edge deployment is just one line of code, the .publish function. This publish function returns the URLs that I'll need for my Docker or Helm environment on my edge device. When I'm initially configuring my Wallaroo cluster, I'll have the opportunity to set up an OCI repository that will act as the primary storage location for any pipelines published to edge, and that OCI repository location will be reflected in these URLs. Now I'm ready to perform my edge deployment. I open up my terminal here on my edge device, and I can go ahead and use my docker run command along with the URLs that I received from the publish function in order to start up the engine and my deployed pipeline on the edge device. Now that both the Wallaroo engine and my ResNet pipeline are deployed on my edge device, I can go ahead and test this out with a curl command in which I send an arrow file to my pipeline to test. This example uses the binary arrow format for efficiency, but it's worth noting that both JSON and Pandas records are also supported in this way. Now my test call has completed, and on examining the file, I can see that it gave their expected results, meaning that my pipeline is ready to go. So today we've seen how we can use the Wallaroo platform to go from a saved model to a model deployed on a cluster in just a couple of lines of code. We've also seen how we can then use that cluster deployment to simulate our edge environment, and in just another couple lines of code, package this up and actually deploy it on our edge device. And these edge deployed pipelines can be integrated with any other code I have running on my edge device to do things like control system automation, for example. And this flexibility really underscores the power of edge deployment with Wallaroo.